Hello everybody, my name is Gerben de Vries and welcome to Conscious Yes, where we talk about the inner world, the world of the spiritual. I like to talk about death. I know, it's often something we don't really talk about. It's considered a little bit morbid, something we don't really want to consider. It's for later. Cradle to the grave, we age through life, and by the end of the life, if we're lucky, we're 80 something and we pass away and our body dies, and we have a subtle understanding that death can hit us every moment. We can be taken out any moment of the day, really. It's a fact we don't really want to stand still with or look at really either. And death is all around us, right? There's entropy in nature. There's constantly dying. The trees are constantly dying and living, and our bodies are constantly dying and regenerating. There's the life, the body. And nature has this beautiful balance of things dying and living at the same time, regenerating. If you look at trees or animals, our bodies. In the outer world, there's that beautiful balance. I was thinking of death the other day, where I had this picture in my head of our minds being like a rainforest in the Amazon, incredibly potent, a lot of life. It's just incredibly fertile soil and perfect growing conditions, and a lot of water, and things just shoots up in the air. What if there was no entropy? What if there was no death, What if these plants in the Amazon kept growing? There would be these massive trees just reaching to the sky, and never-ending growth of plants. And in many ways, that's what our mind looks like. It's incredibly fertile. Fertile soil for ideas, for concepts. But we're afraid of death. We kick death out. We say no to death. We say no to anything that represents death. And when we judge something to be bad, internally, psychologically, we say anything that's bad is basically related to death. I'll tell you why. Because psychologically, we feel we can gain or lose something. My personality. I can gain something by enlightenment, by being happy, by being in love, by success, etc. We can gain, my personality, I as an ego, can gain by all these things. I feel inflated, right? I feel at ease, happy, peaceful when I have these things around me that I identify with temporarily before they have to be renewed, because it's temporarily. So I can lose it. Because they're ideas, they're temporary. And in the same way, I can deflate. When something gets stolen from me, when I'm depressed, when I lose something that I've identified to, attachments. The fears, when I feel fear and anxiety, I feel like I'm losing. I feel like I'm deflating my ego, and I don't really want to go there. I don't want to, because I want to be happy. I want to inflate. I want to be. I want to feel like I'm experiencing life. Whenever we're unhappy, whenever we're depressed or lonely, we postpone the present moment. We say I don't want to really feel this way. So I feel like I'm not really experiencing. When I'm at my job and I don't like my job, I'll constantly look at the clock, and there's this the internal experience is very limited. You'll feel like you're not really living, right? You're postponing the present moment because you feel, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, you know. The deflationary, fear, anxiety, depression, loneliness, the ego relates to dying, to death, to losing experiences. This is really important. To lose psychologically, ideas, attachments. It feels like dying. And we don't want to die. We want to experience. And so thought judges something to be bad. That's what it does. It judges. Like in the physical realm, it judges things to be either bad or good, which makes sense. You know, being chased by a mountain lion is bad, right? So we learn from that and we don't do it. We make sure we don't get in a situation again, kind of thing. We do the same thing to our feelings, to our emotions. When I feel depressed, lonely, suffering, all that stuff, anxiety, it doesn't feel very good. So I call it like losing, I call it dying, I call it bad. And thought will do anything in its power to not have to die. It wants to be here, it wants to be experiencing eternally. And so we shut the door on death. We say, death, you're not welcome, right? And so our minds get overgrown with ideas, with concepts, with ideas about myself, because we're unwilling to let go of ideas about myself. We're unwilling to let go of our anxieties, of our happiness, of the things we've attached ourselves to. Ideas, identities. This is me. This is my family, my bank account, my success, my happiness. We don't like to lose. Not willing to lose creates death. The shutting the door on death, on dying, shutting the door on dying. Now I'm talking about two different deaths. Let's say there's a spiritual death of the psychological, and there's the physical death, right? To shut the door on the spiritual dying, on the psychological dying of ideas, of attachments, of letting go, of ideas. When we don't do that, when we're unwilling, when we judge depression, anxiety, loneliness to be bad, to be death, and by that way a thought will come in and say, I'll protect you from feeling that way, from dying. I will protect you like it can protect you in the physical realm from dying. That thought is really great in protecting the body from not dying. It also thinks it has to protect it from psychologically dying. But death here is so crucial. It's our mind is overgrown, like the Amazon being completely grown out of crazy covering the world. There's not an inch that is air, if that's, it's a metaphor. So can you die? In other words, can you change? Can you learn? Can you suffer? Suffer the raw feeling of whatever you're going through, whatever the present moment brings, whatever arises. Can you go through it? Can you acknowledge it? I think that's a really huge question. It's a willingness to change. It takes a tremendous amount of guts and balls. Tremendous amount. The fear of fear is what hurts. The suffering of suffering is what hurts. It's what real suffering is. The anticipation of anxiety, the experiencing of anxiety, is what creates suffering. But shutting the door on letting go, on death, is suffering. It is spinning faster and faster in mental images, in ideas. It's the speeding up of mind, of thought. Because it's in time. And that speed, it gives that fear, it gives that, we all know that, that uprising of anxiety or something. It's a movement in psychological time that is a speeding up in many ways. So are we willing to die? Why do we need to be around tomorrow? Psychologically, right? Why do we need to be around tomorrow? Is it necessary as an idea to be around tomorrow? Is it something that needs to be protected and guarded, self-preserved? Do we need to be self-preserved as an idea about myself, my attachments, my ideas, my concepts? This sensation of me here that I've linked all sorts of ideas about. Who I am, the money I have, the friends I have, my family, everything, right? Me. It is facing death right now. That is spirituality. It's facing one's own history, one's past. The past has to die for the future to change. The future will not change by us trying to change, by thought, trying to change the world, trying to change our behavior, by rules, by ethics, by ideas of how we should act. The change comes from being with yourself and seeing yourself, seeing who you are in any given moment. And there's place for everything in that. And why not? Do you know? Why not? Where is it written large that we should not suffer, that we should not have anxiety? The freedom from anxiety, the freedom from suffering, lies in not shutting it out. The resistance that we have against life, against the present moment of whatever it brings, the resistance is what gives us all this pain, what is responsible for all the depression, what is responsible to the fearful lives that we live. And so, like a good farmer, we should try and go back to cultivating our soil. Get the rippers out, get the discs out, yeah? Rototill it, all that stuff. Concern ourselves with the roots, not trying to get a chainsaw out and go into the Amazon and trying to chainsaw trees over. It's too fertile, everything will just grow back. So real death is an incredibly important subject. It is not only the physical death of growing older and the potential of death tapping on your shoulder any given moment of the day, which is true, but what does that to you, you know? Can you face death in the eyes? Hope this has been helpful. And thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Bye.